Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on my Minecraft Survival Let's Play world, where in today's episode we're starting off in our bakery build, which I believe we built in episode 41, and I have to say ever since its construction I've absolutely been loving it, and I think it looks really beautiful from the inside and from the outside. You can even see this creeper is actually admiring it as well, and I don't blame him because it looks absolutely spectacular. And we even built this interior a couple episodes after, and it looks great as well. And it's also been doing wonders for us because every time we've been working outside as well, we can always just head on upstairs and grab a sleep whenever it turns night. So it's been really useful to have around here as well. And you can see we actually can see our beautiful custom trees that we built last episode, which I have to say make a very beautiful atmosphere outside. And actually, now that I think about it, that view actually looks amazing. This window in front of us provides the perfect outline just to have a very nice look at these trees here. You can see the insane amount of detail I put into them using different sort of blocks, and you can also have a good look at the ground texture that we created as well using coarse dirt, green concrete powder, podzol, all sorts of stuff. And I think it looks really nice from inside the bakery here, and I'm absolutely loving it. You can even see the bridge that we built last time out and that little hole in the ground there which our path runs through, and I think it looks really nice. I hope you guys are going to love it yourselves when you get the world download. But anyway, I should probably just stop jabbering on and talk about what we're going to be doing in today's episode. And actually, believe it or not, in today's episode, we are not going to be working with creepers or wandering traders. We are actually not going to be working in this area altogether. We are going to be moving back to our industrial district to work on a few farms that I've had in mind for a while now. And I'm super excited to get started on those builds over there because they're going to be super useful and super productive for us on this world over here. And you know what productivity means? More episodes for you guys. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy today's episode. But I guess without further ado, then I should probably just head on to sleep, deal with this creeper over here that really wants to grab a piece of cake inside here, and then head on over to the industrial district so I can talk to you guys about the farms we're making in today's episode. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the morning after I've had a quick sleep. And I have to go upstairs. There's too many monsters nearby. Alright, so I've quickly had my sleep over there, and we're gonna head out to the back door here actually so that creeper doesn't explode right in front of my face. And all is safe back here. And now I'm just gonna head on over to another portal down there so that we can go over to the industrial district. And believe it or not, in today's episode we are making not one, not two, but 3 farms, and I'm super excited for them to all get built. And who knows, even if we have more time, we might make more than those 3 farms that I've planned. But anyway, those 3 farms there are going to be absolutely massive, and I intend to make them super big. So I hope those 3 are going to be enough for you guys. Anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and jump on into the nether so we can head down to my industrial district. Alright, we have basically arrived at my industrial district now using my nether hub that we built a couple episodes ago, I believe in episode 45. So go ahead and actually check that video out if you haven't already. You can see how I built this, and it's been super useful for me. But now we can actually head on back into the overworld and to my industrial district. Alright, we have arrived at my industrial district right now, and you can see how barren it is at the moment. So I'm super excited to get working on some more farms in today's episode and make this place a lot bigger. And now is the time I should probably tell you guys what we're going to be making in today's episode. Wait, why is there a bunch of pillagers here? Holy moly, that is like... Wow, okay, that's a lot of pillagers, and there's a creeper there with them as well, hiding in the midst. There's actually a skeleton fighting them as well. Holy, okay, I'm just gonna take a step back and let them be and just talk about what we're making in today's episode. Anyway, so yeah, basically what we're making in today's episode is going to be a huge iron farm, and you guys are probably wondering what, I already have an iron farm, so why am I making another one? Well, this time I'm going to make it 10 times bigger, and it's going to be, okay, just forget about that. It's going to be 10 times bigger, and it's going to be super effective, so you guys are absolutely going to love it. And for the second farm that I'm making in today's episode, I'm going to be making a villager breeder. Actually, it's going to be our first farm technically because I need villagers to make the iron farm. And the villager breeder is going to be super big as well. There's going to be multiple modules full of villagers breeding up so that I can get as many villagers as possible. And then finally, for our third farm that we're going to be making in today's episode, I'm actually going to be making a honeycomb farm. And you guys are probably wondering, why am I making that kind of farm there in today's episode? And if I'm being honest with you guys, with the 1.17 update already here, I'm super keen to get my hands on some candles and some wax copper because they're going to be super cool building blocks and I really love them. In fact, that's what I'm most keen about in this 1.17 update is those blocks in particular. And to get my hands on those blocks, I need honeycomb. So in today's episode, I'm making a honeycomb farm using bees. And in today's episode, I'm going to make that farm absolutely huge. It's going to be super big and it's going to gather us loads of honeycomb for that exact purpose. And who knows, we might even make it multi-purpose, make the bee farm collect honey bottles as well so that we can make plenty of honey blocks so that we can use them in future redstone builds. Kind of like that one there actually, now that I think about it, because we've used honey blocks there to make that tree farm. And actually, if you guys don't have a tree farm yourselves already, I highly recommend making that one there because it's super useful. But if you're going to make that, make sure that you don't get any pillagers stuck in here like I did, because as you guys can see, I have quite a few. Actually, a few have disappeared ever since that creeper has exploded. I guess they just died. But anyway, without further ado, I guess we should just cut straight to the chase. And I'm going to start gathering materials so that we can start building up our farms. So I'll see you guys shortly after I checked out the material list, grabbed a few shulker boxes full of items so that we can get this building process underway. And then I can talk to you guys about which farm we're making first, which is most likely going to be the villager breeder. Okay, we got some glass, some redstone, even more redstone, redstone again, quartz, food, and even more glass. And just like that, we're all done with our grinding and I'm super happy with the result. We've got a whole bunch of materials, as you can see here, a whole bunch of glass, a whole bunch of redstone, and a bunch of other stuff like some stone bricks as well, which are all going to supply us for our farms in today's episode. And that only took me about 2 hours of AFKing and grinding, which isn't actually that bad because usually it takes me about 4 hours or 5 hours in some cases. But anyway, we can start building up our farms, and to begin with, we're going to be making our villager breeder, of course, because we cannot make an iron farm without some villagers that are working in the iron farm. So what better place to start than the villager breeder? And actually, luckily, very close to our industrial area, we've got a village here which has, I think, a few villagers in it, which is going to be quite useful when making this villager breeder. In fact, we can just take a closer look at this village right now and see how many villagers we have in here so that we can get a rough idea of how many modules we can make for our villager breeder design. So we have one in here, the librarian, of course. Then we have 2, 3, 4. I think I saw another one, 5. And there's probably 1 or 2 loitering around there. 6. I saw a door open back there as well, so it's probably 7. And yeah, there's 8. Okay, that's 8. That's a very good number there. So we can create 4 modules for our villager breeder design, which is actually a sufficient amount to get loads of villagers, which is going to be amazing for our industrial area. And I think 4 is actually a great number because it's going to provide us with so many villagers, which is going to be great, like I already mentioned. And it's also going to give our time-lapse in today's video a little more length. Plus, sometimes it's very annoying to get a very slow rate of villagers breeding up, so having 4 is actually going to be perfect to get a huge amount of villager babies. Oh, and I forgot to mention what design we're going to be using in today's episode. So for the villager breeder, we're going to be using a logical Geek Boy design villager breeder, which is actually super great for producing loads and loads of villager babies. And I actually already built one in the past in this world, however it unfortunately broke down a while ago and has been doing very badly. But when it was in operation, it was so great and was providing me with so many villagers. So we're going to be building 4 of those in today's episode. But when it comes to the iron farm that we're going to be making, we're going to be making a Tango Tech designed iron farm, which is going to be a little tweaked here and there so that I can perform a little better in my world. But it's going to be super great and it's going to provide us with so many iron golems to get as much iron as possible. And then finally, for the honeycomb farm that we're making in today's episode, it's going to be a pixel rift design, but it's going to be tweaked just like the iron farm so that it can provide us with loads of honeycomb and just so that it fits my area a little better. And all of those are going to be super big. Like I already mentioned, I already even said that we're going to make 4 modules for the villager breeder. For the iron farm, I'm thinking about making 4 or 5 different platforms as well for iron golems to spawn on, so that we get 18, 20 maybe even iron golems, so that we get loads and loads of iron. And for the honeycomb farm, don't worry, I'm going to get loads and loads of bees as well, so you can get the maximum amount of honeycomb as possible. So I guess with all of that being said, then we should probably just jump straight into a time lapse and start moving these villagers about into their new homes, which is going to be the villager breeder down in that direction there. So I'm just going to get straight into it without a further ado. And I'll just leave all the boring stuff off camera as well, because moving around villagers in minecarts is not necessarily the easiest thing to do in the world. Because if you guys have ever done it yourself, you know that it's a really big hassle and these guys just don't want to budge sometimes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all that stuff myself so that you guys don't have to witness the boring act. But with all of that said, then I guess we're all ready to jump into today's time lapse. So without a further ado, let's hit it. Holy smokes, that was one huge time lapse, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely big in the building sense, because these farms that I built in that time lapse definitely took me a load of time to build and a lot of materials as well. I had to end up going back and forth to a couple other places just to refill on some materials because I was running low in some instances. But I'm very happy with what we came up with over here using my own intuition, because some of these farms over here broke down. But I'm very happy with how it all turned out, because they all look really nice on the outside and they all function really well and produce loads and loads of materials. So let's go ahead and explore them around with you guys. So first off, we've got the villager breeder, which was the first farm I built in the time lapse, and I have to say it looks quite nice. You got a very nice glass shell around the actual villager breeder, and I think it kind of fits the aesthetic that this industrial district goes with. So I think it looks really cool, and it was actually originally based off a Logical Geek Boy design. However, I did tweak it quite a lot, as you can see here, because Logical Geek Boy's design only had one platform with just a 2 block high wall. That's it. And you can see I kind of went a bit overboard with that over here. You can see I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 platforms so I can get the maximum amount of baby villagers to supply my iron golem farm, which we'll get to in a second. And I think it looks really good. You can see that we've got villagers working on every single level here. We can even make it into a carrot farm, I guess, because you can put some hoppers underneath here and pick up the carrots that they're farming. But I think it looks really nice. And then of course we've got an on-off switch here that I've implemented just so that we can stop these guys beating up so much, because we're going to get an overflow of villagers, let's be real. In fact, when I was actually using this farm later on to create my iron farm, there was so many villagers over here and they were just lagging my world so much. I had like about 50 villagers down here in the time span of about 15 minutes or so. So that was not 15 minutes, 5 minutes or so. And that was pretty crazy because that was like 2 Minecraft days or 1 Minecraft day, and we had so many villagers here. And it seems like there's a villager stuck there somehow. Must have a baby must have like crawled over and then grown up there and not have jumped down. But basically I think this farm design is still pretty good. So we got the on-off switch like I was saying, so that we can stop them from breeding because they make so many babies. And basically once a baby is born here, they'll jump over to the beds over here and then they'll fall through this huge little opening that we've got and go down into this water stream down below. And then you can see I've got quite a wide kind of area down here for the villagers to get sorted, because when I actually had a 1 block wide sorting thing here, the villagers would actually get, you know, clogged up and fill up the system over here. Now that happens less so, but it still does happen, which shows how big this farm produces and how much, you know, stuff it produces there. So I think that's pretty good. But basically the villagers, the baby villagers, will stand on these walls over here. They'll grow up, they'll go into that water stream there and then drop down, and then I can use a minecart to pick them up and head them on to where they're supposed to go. And in this instance I use the villager breeder, of course, for my iron farm, which I have to say looks absolutely amazing. It looks super big. And originally I was going to go for a Tango Tech design iron farm like I mentioned a bit earlier. However, I found out that that farm broke in 1.16.2, and at the moment we're playing at 1.16.5. So I had to make quite a few adjustments, but I have to say I do like it a lot more with my adjustments added. It does produce a lot more consistently and it looks a lot nicer as well. You can see I've added some glass trims on the side just to make it look cool, and also as functional pieces as well so that golems don't fall off. Added in my own killing chamber and things like that, and I have to say it works really well. In fact, some of you guys have been asking me to make an iron farm tutorial, so I'm gonna make this one actually, because this is now basically my own design, because it was Tango Tech's originally, but it broke down in 1.16.2. But now I can make a tutorial for you guys for 1.17, and this farm should work flawlessly. And let's go ahead and explore a little bit. So basically down here we've got 2 killing chambers. You can see we've got lava on either side here. We got lava there and lava here, and basically the golems will drop down and they'll just put their heads in this lava here and they'll start to die. And then you can see we've got a little hopper chain below which picks up all the iron, and temporarily I have to set up 2 chests like so on either side, and that works for now because I haven't really AFK'd here yet. But once I start AFKing here properly, I'll make a huge sorting system with roses and composters to get bone meal, and of course the chests to get all the iron in as well. But this farm is absolutely insane with how much it produces. So basically if you head on up here, you can see that we've got, actually let's just fly, it might be easier there. So basically you can see we've got 3 platforms. We got 1, 2, 3. We got the first one, second one, and third one. So basically the first one consists of all the redstone down there, as you can see, and it's just the first floor where all the golems will spawn on. And then the second and third are just basically copies, and they're linked up all with this redstone torch tower there. But basically what will happen is when this farm is on, because it's not on at the moment, 4 golems will spawn on each level. So we'll have 2 on that side, 2 on that side. So that's 4. And then we'll have another 4 there, and then another 4 there. So that's 12 golems, will you believe it or not? So that's a lot of iron. Originally, I was thinking of having another 1 or 2 layers, but that was so much building. This whole 3 layers over here took me about like 8 hours to build. So I'm just thankful I got 3 done, and we can maybe expand it in the future. But as of right now, I'm all out of building materials, so I'm just gonna have to take 3 levels and be happy with it. But 12 golems is an insane amount of golems, you have to realize. And that happens all within the span of 10 seconds. So that's a golem in less than a second, will you believe it or not. And my last iron farm, which was my starter iron farm, which I believe I built in episode 8 or episode 10, something like that, was 1 golem per like every 5 seconds or so. So this is a lot faster than that, as you can see. And it produces so much golems. In fact, the amount of golems this produces is not enough for the killing chamber to keep up. Sometimes I have to wait like 30 seconds or so for all the golems to die on both the sides here. And I think when I was actually building our next farm over here, the honeycomb farm, I left this iron farm on for just a little bit, and it actually completely filled up these chests over here, but then ended up using all the iron to make shears for this honeycomb farm over here. But I have to say, if you guys are ever going to make an iron farm yourself, I highly recommend making this one over here. But of course, there's no tutorial for it, so I'm going to go ahead and make that very shortly. Probably in a couple episodes or a couple videos from now. And I should probably just stop taking fall damage, okay? I was really blind there not to see that I was falling. But anyway, we can move on to our next farm over here, which is our honeycomb farm. And it's working wonders for me. It's getting loads and loads of honeycomb. And if you just pop down here, you can see that we got a little bit of a chest system. And I haven't AFK'd here yet, but you can see we got 4 stacks already, and pretty much a stack of honeycomb blocks as well, which is about another 4 stacks of honeycomb, which is quite a lot of honeycomb actually. And you can see the bees are constantly working over here. And I'm going to go ahead and explain the rest to you guys after I sleep, because it's getting a little dark. Okay, come on. We gotta sleep and eat. Okay, we're sleeping. And now we're awake. Okay, now we can destroy our bed and explain the rest of the farm to you guys over here. So basically, you can see the design is pretty simple, and for once that actually didn't tweak a farm design by someone else. So this was the logical geek boy villager design, which I of course tweaked. You can see I made it a lot bigger, added my own little on-off switch to it, and added sorting systems and things like that. So basically, this is pretty much 70% my farm here, and then the Tango Tech one that I tweaked as well is about like 90% my own farm design. But for once, I actually didn't tweak a farm design. This is Pixelriff's original farm design over here, and it's tweaked about 10% maybe, so it's 90% based off his farm here. Only thing I added was that I added a little cage around it because he left his open, and I just made it a little bit more neat. So you can see it's functioning really well. But basically, it's super simple. So we have a glass wall over here so that the bees don't escape, this little cage or something, so that they only stay in this grassy area over here with a flower on top, so that they can, you know, collect pollen. And then when they go back into the beehives and make it drip honey and all of that stuff, this observer on the top will notice that. It'll produce a redstone signal, and there'll be some redstone on top of that. I can't really see it at the moment. Let's see if I can jump up. Yeah, so there you go. You can see there's some redstone on top of that. The redstone will go on top of this block here and shoot this dispenser, and you can see we got loads of shears in there. And basically, those shears will then activate and shear that beehive over there, and then grab all the honeycomb. And then basically underneath that, we've got Minecraft, not Minecraft, minecart. I can't English at the moment, so excuse me. But basically, we've got some minecart hoppers there with another hopper chain underneath, and that'll take all the honeycomb all the way down to the end here, which is going to be great actually, because with the 1.17 update finally going to reach my world, it's going to be super useful. So I can wax all of my copper blocks and also get loads and loads of candles, because let's be real, candles look like an absolute beauty. And then anyway, we've gone ahead and stacked that pretty much another 11 times beside that, so we got 12 beehives or bee nests anyway on each row over there. And then we've gone ahead and duplicated that another time on top as well. So you can see if we come back to the front here, we basically just replicated that over there, and it's also producing honeycomb for us. And I haven't really AFK'd here as well. I pretty much just came straight out of the time lapse actually and started recording this, but it's producing loads and loads of honeycomb as you just saw a minute ago. And I have to say, I'm very happy with all of these farms. The honeycomb farm, the villager breeder, and the iron farm, which is the one that I'm most happiest about. I think even in the future, just for fun, we can even extend this further, like I already said. Maybe try and get a stack of golems. How cool would that be? And I actually need to extend this killing chamber over here so that the killing chamber actually keeps up with the amount of golem spawning, because wow, it takes like a lot of time for these golems to die. So I'm probably going to extend that off camera so that you guys don't have to see that. And then of course I'll go ahead and make the sorting system bigger like I already said. But I'm very happy like I already mentioned. And the villager breeder was not a villager breeder, the iron farm was a really big hassle to create. But I'm very happy it's done in the end. And just with all that being said, now we're approaching the end of today's episode. So basically, since I made this iron farm and my villager breeder myself, I might go ahead and post tutorials for them because I know a lot of you guys like my tutorials. But before we do that, I might actually post a building tutorial because I know a few of you have been asking for those upon my recent time lapses. So that's going to help you guys out a lot. Which of course means that we're not going to be posting the survival series just for a little bit, maybe for a week or two. But don't worry, that's going to be great so that I can just recharge and get ready for our next building project here as well. And actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it might be cool to have like an ethos style base over here in my industrial district, because I know a lot of you guys actually watch Hermitcraft and those guys over there, because lots of you have subscribed to me from their comment section and all of that stuff. But basically, if you guys watch Hermitcraft season 7, you know that ethos base was kind of like an interior based kind of area. So basically he built everything from the interior outwards and didn't really focus on the outside. And let's be real, we're not going to focus on this industrial district from the outside either, because these farms are absolutely huge and we won't be able to encase them with a build. But I think it might be cool to actually have a base around here which is just interior based, so that when you walk around this area it feels nice and cozy, it feels like a base, and you can have a glimpse at each of the farms. And I think that'd be really cool. But that's going to be a project for another time, because we're running out of time in today's episode and this video is getting super long. Anyway, so now that we've talked about what we're going to be doing in the future and we've covered everything we did in today's time lapse, I hope you guys really enjoyed this one, because now it's the end of today's episode. Oh my god, I just realized I forgot to show you guys how these farms actually work in person. So let's quickly show you guys that before we end today's episode. So first off, let's show you guys the villager breeder and how it works like when it's in operation. So basically we just turn this farm on over here. You can see that hopefully these villagers notice that the beds are available now and they'll start making babies. Basically they'll start producing love hearts and babies will start to be born and fall down here like I explained earlier. And while that's happening, while we're waiting for a baby to be born, I guess I can go ahead and show you guys how the iron farm works, because a lot of iron golems are produced in this farm like I mentioned. There's about 12 or so. So all we have to do is just check that all our dirt is in this slot here. This is just our timer, and let's go ahead and flick this on here and you can see how many iron golems spawn. So you got 1 2 3 4. We should get another 4 there, another 4 on the next level, and we should have 12 iron golems. And you can see that's a lot. And like I explained earlier, you can see my killing chamber doesn't even allow this many to die at a certain time. So you got 1 2 3 4 5 6, and we should have 6 there as well, which is 12 golems, which is an insane amount. And while this farm is running over here, let's go ahead and see if we got any baby villagers. Is that? It seems like okay. Oh, that must have been the villager from those beds earlier. Anyway, let's see if any villagers are starting to make babies. And actually, I'm just gonna quickly jump to that moment so that you guys don't have to stare at these villagers for too long. And hopefully, they'll soon make a baby so that you can see this farm in action. Oh, there it is. These villagers are starting to make a baby. You can see the love hearts happening, and hopefully you can try a close-up view of this in action. So you can see that they have the love heart. Oh, there we go. I just saw a baby. Let's try and pull out some blocks so that we can kind of stand on them and get a look up close. Oh, there we go. The baby went down that little hole there and fell into this little sorter here, and basically once it grows up, like I said, it'll be sorted down and go into this slot here like this older villager. And then all simple, all done. And that's how both the farms work. And basically that villager is just one of the villagers that can be produced by these platforms over here. Of course, there'll be villagers not only being produced on this platform, but on that platform as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention last time, this villager beer also doubles up as a cat farm. For some reason, whenever this farm is on, loads of cats have been spawning here. You might have noticed that in the time lapse, there's like loads and loads of cats wandering around the area. And I don't know why that is, but I guess if you guys ever really want a cat farm as well, you can go ahead and use this villager breeder design, because it works really effectively as a cat farm. Even though I didn't intend it to be that way, it does the job. Look, you can see another cat there. There's actually loads of cats spawning here for some reason, which is not a bad thing, I guess, because if you guys ever want some cats, you can always team them using this farm here. If you want any particular cat, you can just wait for a short while. And I guess it's good because you can also get the achievement a complete catalog, which means taming all the variants of cats, which I might end up doing in an achievement hunting episode. But with all of that said, now we've got all the farms covered, and you guys got an insight in how to these work. So basically, let's just turn this off here so that we don't get too many baby villagers wandering our area. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish off today's episode like I mentioned a little earlier. So I hope everyone had a wonderful time watching today's episode. Have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!